Hey, how we doing today? I wanted to take a few minutes of your time, if you don't mind, and give you a little commentary on what I think's going on with all the spy balloons and the garbage that's we keep hearing on the news. I got about 8 pages of notes on China. I done a about an almost an hour long video over the weekend, and I was going to put it on, but I decided not to because it gets into the weeds a lot with the connections of the administration and that. And to be totally honest with you, I just wanted to keep it to where it's something somebody would listen to. So I decided to go this route instead. With everything going on with the China and Ukraine and Russia and the U.S., and I want to let you know something. Here's the way I see it. 4 years ago, I got up in the morning, about 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. I made me a cup of coffee, went out on the deck, and was sitting there drinking a cup of coffee. And cows were out in the field mooing, and a beautiful morning, but it might have been around 6, but sun just starting to crest over the edge of the hill, and I was looking out over the field, and just as clear as a bell, I heard the Lord speak to me and say that there's a reset coming. That's all he said. Just there's coming a reset. I didn't know what it meant, had no idea that's all he said, so I didn't get any other information on it. And for about a year, I went around telling everybody I could. And this was before I had Facebook or anything, so I didn't put anything on there. But anybody that would listen, I would tell them what I felt in my spirit. I don't know what all it entails, but I can tell you right now that over the last 4 years, we've seen in our nation a tremendous change. There's been an unbelievable shift. The American people have allowed things that I would have never in a million years believed we would have allowed our government to do. They've taken control. I mean, who would have ever thought that over a virus that was killing like 0.01% of the people, that was primarily elderly and primarily those with other symptoms, other diseases and stuff of that nature, like diabetes and emphysema, COPD, and stuff of that nature, that we would have allowed the government to tell us we had to shut our businesses down. Makes no sense. If you'd have told me that 10 years ago that the American people would allow a government to tell them they have to close their business, I'd have laughed you out of the room. There ain't no way in this world I would have believed that the American people would have cowed down to that. The truth of the matter is during that time frame, you had churches being closed, pastors being arrested, all kinds of stuff going on. We were closing our churches and our gyms and leaving open porn stores and strip clubs, liquor stores. If you had a big enough business that you could fund political campaigns, Lowe's, Walmart, CVS, places like that, you could stay open. But mom and pop businesses was shut down and forced to shut down. So there was a shift. Now, this is not what I'm trying to, don't want to get into all that. The point of this is to let you know that what I see going on with China. See, China's, how can I say this politely? They're poking us in the eye right now. China's not afraid of us. They see this administration as weak and feckless. I'm not saying it's as a criticism to the administration, because I'm not a Republican and I'm not a Democrat and I'm not a Libertarian. I'm kind of a conservatarian. I believe in conservative principles when it comes to finances. I believe in conservative principles when it comes to morality, but I also believe in live and let live. A libertarian's, you do you and I'll do me type philosophy. So I'm not anti-Democrat. I'm anything that's against America. I'm an American first, and I believe that America is the best nation on earth. But I also believe we have weak, quite honestly, stupid leaders that are politicians. Here's what I think. I think China fully understands who Joe Biden is. I don't think there's any question. I think they know him far better than we do. I've got 8 pages of notes right here of connections between Joe Biden, Hunter Biden, the Chinese government, CFEC, the China Energy Fund Committee, high-ranking Chinese operatives, Patrick Ho, all kinds of stuff. I decided not to do that because it was too wonky and too far in the weeds, and quite honestly, the average American has the attention span of a gnat. So it turned out to be almost an hour-long video, so I decided not to post it. If you would be interested in these notes, you email us at libertyoutreach2001@gmail.com, and we'll be more than happy to get them out to you so you can look over them yourself if you like. But what's going on with China? See, I think China realizes they have about 23 months to complete their takeover of Taiwan. Joe Biden is in the pocket of Xi Jinping. I have no doubt in my mind, and I could show you evidence after evidence on that, but that's not the point. The point is that China's not afraid of us right now. They also know that we're $30 trillion in debt, mostly to them. They know that we're a divided country right now, and I blame the legacy media, the mainstream media, quite honestly, I blame mostly Democrats for stoking division in our country. For 4 years, 5 years, we've had street riots, we've had disavowing the police, defunding the police, no respect for law enforcement, no respect for politicians, no respect for the media. You can't hardly believe anything the media says because they get on there and lie. They only tell you what you want. You've got the government you got the FBI and the government talking to big tech about censoring things that goes against the Democratic Party. Folks, that's a dangerous place to be. They bypassed the Constitution. The Constitution says, clear and cut and dry, that we have the freedom of speech. You can do and say anything you want on the town square. You have the constitutional right to criticize your government. And they know that. They also know that the American people wouldn't stand for a direct violation of that constitutional right. So what they done is they bypassed it. They went with the China policy of private-public partnership. And that's what they've done. See, they've colluded with big tech, Twitter, Facebook, Google, to censor you and I. And not just you and I, they're censoring Democrats. They censor them and then they cancel them. If you don't agree with them and they don't like what you're saying, they collude with big tech to take you off their platforms. Right now, Google, Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, all them things, that is the town square today. You need to understand that. Used to, you had to go down on the street corner and stand out there and heckle and everything, but not anymore. Now it's all done online. That is, in fact, without question, the new town square. And they are using their power and their influence. Now, they say they didn't force them to, but listen, if the FBI shows up at your door and recommends something, they don't recommend in the sense that they suggest it. When they recommend it, it's a threat. You need to know that. So when big tech to be totally honest with you, big tech wasn't even so opposed to it because most of them were liberal Democrats that agree with the philosophy of shutting down any opposition or any negative speech about what they believe. So we need to understand this. Here's the danger. See, I believe we're in a very dangerous and a very precarious position when it comes to the world stage. I typically don't criticize the president when it comes to international affairs because I assume they have more information than what they're given. So they're typically, over the last 50 years in my life, I've given them a lot of leeway when it comes to that. But the truth of the matter is our leaders right now are lifetime politicians. You don't think China knows that? They're going to make the decision that's best for their next political move. Nothing else. They don't care about what happens to the country in the long term. He's 80 years old. He ain't going to be around to see it. So he's making decisions based on his political ideology and what's best for his next political move and next for his political party. That's a dangerous place to be. If I pick up on that and you pick up on that, don't you think these Chinese officials understand that too? That they can do this because they know that Joe Biden is going to make the decision that gets him his next big paycheck or his next big election. Make no mistake about it. They understand that. I understand it. You understand it. And they understand it. So the truth of the matter is, is it's putting us in a very dangerous position. I don't believe for 1 second Joe Biden would have shot down that first balloon. I don't think he would have shot down the other four. I think he would have let it pass through just like nothing else and went on if it had not been for a political upheaval. See, then once it got out to the average citizen, you and I, well, there was such an uproar and a stink made about it, it left him with no options but to act. He only acted because the political wind started blowing that direction and he was advised to. That's a disgusting thing to do. We pay them people and we hire them, we vote them in to do what's best for the nation. And what they do is what's best for themselves. Elections have consequences. That was a famous statement from Barack Obama. And buddy, that's about the one thing I can say he said was 100% accurate. You get the government you deserve. We voted these twits in the office. You got Biden, the Biden family, Jim Biden, Hunter Biden, Joe Biden, Sarah Biden, drew millions of dollars from China, from Ukraine. They got rich off of this stuff. Joe Biden says he didn't know anything about it. Hunter Biden negotiated a deal with Africa and the Congo, a $3.8 billion deal with China to take their natural resources and strip mine that country. Hunter Biden himself said that Joe got 10% of everything he made. The big guy. Got to keep 10% back for the big guy. Hunter got 20%. Jim got 20%. These people are getting rich off of ripping these poor countries apart with strip mining. The Biden administration shut down energy, benefited Russia. They shut down pipelines, benefited Russia. I don't understand what's going on with the mindset of these people. They keep pushing renewable energy, windmills, solar panels, stuff of that nature. And I'm not necessarily opposed to any of that. But the truth of the matter is that most of them products are made in China. So as they shut down our energy grids and our pipelines, and they refuse to give permits for new drilling, and they push the renewable energies, China gets rich, United States get poor. Now, I'm not sure if Joe Biden even realizes any of this. Quite honestly, I'm not sure he realizes when he has pants on. But the truth of the matter is there are people behind the scenes that is pushing him that does know this. Listen, I'm going to give you just real briefly. Here's just a list of names. And like I said, I'll give you these notes if you want. But here's a list of names of people working in this administration right now that have ties and connections to China. You got Tony Blinken. He founded the consultancy West Executive Advisors. He's the Secretary of State. You got, let's see here, the Director of National Intelligence, Avril Haines. The White House Press Secretary, Jen Psaki. Secretary Blinken was also a managing director of the Penn Biden Center, where all the classified information was found originally. And consequently, after they opened up the Penn Biden Center, the donations to the Penn State ticked up to almost $40 million from China to the Penn State. Buddy, that's some connections that people don't even realize. The United Nations ambassador, Linda Thomas Greenfield. She worked for Madeleine Albright's Stonebridge Group. She gave speeches at the Chinese Confucius Institute. The Asia Czar, Kurt Campbell, was on the board of the Confucius Institute. Has ties to the Student Language Exchange. Just one after another. And this is just a short list because I didn't want to get into the details. But you had Jake Sullivan, the senior advisor to China. He was a national security advisor. You had Myra Rapp Hooper was the Undersecretary of Defense. She worked with the policy designate Colin Kahl. All these people had Bill Nelson, the former senator of Florida, Rahm Emanuel, was recruited as an ambassador to China. He was a Chicago mayor. These are all people that are closely tied to the Biden administration and have direct ties with China. Why do you think China's doing this? Because they don't believe there's going to be any repercussions. I'm pretty sure that I can envision, and this is just philosophy, but I can envision Joe Biden calling Xi Jinping and say, "Look, man, hate to do this, but I'm gonna have to shoot that down, or I'm not gonna get elected, and that's gonna cut off all our funding." And old Xi Jinping say, "Yeah, no problem. Go ahead. We got plenty of them." Now I don't know anything that happened, but I could easily envision that happening, and I'm sure you can too. These people are corrupt beyond corrupt. They're the worst government we've ever had. They sold us out, and now they're allowing China to come in and eat our lunch. And you need to know something. I don't believe for 1 second this is the end. I think we're going to see a major uptick in Chinese aggression over the next 24 months, 23 months. I believe Xi Jinping has calculated that he has until the end of December of 2024 to get his goal of taking over Taiwan. The Biden administration keeps repeatedly saying that if they invade Taiwan, that we'll use military action to protect them. Well, all the defense departments coming out saying that our recruiting numbers are at the lowest they've ever been. During the COVID virus, they got rid of something like 7,500 active duty soldiers because they wouldn't take the shot. So our military's down in numbers. Recruiting's down around 15 to 20%. We're $30 trillion in debt, mostly to China. We're sending $40 billion to Ukraine to fight against Russia. China's supplying Russia with war essentials. We just authorized 31, I think it was 30 or 31 Abrams tanks to go to Ukraine. So we're depleting our military capabilities while cutting off our energy supplies, borrowing $1.7 trillion, divided country, stoked by the media, no respect for leaders, no respect for law enforcement, no respect for the media. And then China makes a move. See, I think they've calculated that we're not in a position to resist them much. They just ended that 20-year war in Afghanistan with a debacle. And China's determined that they can get what they want in the next 22 to 23, 24 months. I truly believe that. I think we got harder times ahead. Now be of good cheer, because God will keep us right if we stay right. If my people which are called by my name will humble themselves, seek my face, I will hear from heaven and heal their nation. So I encourage you to do that. But use common sense, folks. Look into these people's connections and their past before we vote them into office next time. Use wisdom. Prepare your family. Understand that any one of them 5 balloons this week or the last week and a half could have had an EMP, electronic magnetic pulse, and shut down our electric grid in a matter of minutes. Any one of them could have been carrying a nuclear warhead and destroyed a portion of our country in a matter of seconds. Thank God they didn't. And I'm not saying that's coming. What I'm saying is we've had 7 of our major transformers shot or shut down. We had the FFA had what they said a computer error that shut down flights for a day. Our electric grid is very vulnerable. It wouldn't take an EMP. They shut down something like 200,000-300,000 people's electric for over a week by shooting a transformer with a rifle in 3 different states. We're a vulnerable nation right now. We're vulnerable because we're broke. We're vulnerable because we're in debt. We're vulnerable because we're divided. We've got a major major increase in fentanyl and drug abuse. The American people is seeing some of the highest inflation in 40 years, so we're struggling financially. The average person has less than $1,000 in the bank at any given time. So I would recommend doing a little preparing. I'm not a prepper. I'm not a doomsday prophet. I'm not a gloom and doom type guy. But you need to have a few things that can sustain you in the event that something happens. Now listen, I'm not trying to scare you. I'm trying to give you a heads up. I don't know what the whole reset's going to be. I've seen a great number of things, and at some point I'm going to go into more detail on that. But over the last 4 years, since the Spirit spoke to me that there's coming a reset, in that last 4 years, I've seen an enormous amount of change. And in my spirit, I don't feel that it's over yet. I think I don't know. I mean, I might be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. Because I don't have any direct knowledge and I don't have any further explanation. What I have is this feeling that there's going to be a major reset in the world. And after every major war there is, make no mistake, we're in a proxy war right now with Russia and China. Now, we're not got boots on the ground, but we're in a proxy war right now with them. It's the same as what we done when Russia was in a 10-year war with Afghanistan. We supplied the Afghans with weapons to resist them, and we done it to bleed them dry. But the truth of the matter is we're in a proxy war with them right now. And how long do you think it's going to be before we're in a full-blown hot war? We're a divided nation. We need to come together. We need to fix this drug epidemic. We need to close our border where the drugs are coming across. I don't understand leaving that thing open for 1.7 million people in the last 2 years has come across it, carrying God knows what. There's been they announced this week that there's a major uptick in illegal immigration crossing from Asia, China. Come on, folks. Something's going on. You feel it. You're not a fool. You feel it. You know there's something going on. So prepare yourself. Get some water on site, a water purifier, get some canned foods, things that can sustain you for a few days. DOD recommends 72 hours because they said within 72 hours of a major catastrophe like Katrina that your society went into chaos. So get enough to sustain you for a little while, but be of good cheer. Jesus overcome and so will we. But also be prepared. Don't be caught as the virgins without the trimmed wick, without the oil. Prepare yourselves. Study to show yourself approved. A good workman needeth not be ashamed. That's all I got for today. I hope you take the time to listen to it. I hope it was informative. If you like it, click the like button so we'll know if you're liking these things or not, whether or not we need to do more. We're going to be stepping these things up in time. As soon as we are sorry about the quality of video and that. I'm very, very bad at this crap. So hang in there and be blessed.